Hello, breathers. Welcome back to another Pulse. Thanks for being here. My name is Davis. It is September 2nd. There went the summer. Hope it was a good one. We're into fall, in case you didn't know. My favorite time of the year. I think a lot of people enjoy fall also. Coming up on almost 20 Pulses hosted in this internet platform here. So that's exciting. I'd love to hear in the comments any feedback anyone has on favorite pulses, their not favorite pulses, what they like, what they don't like, what they want to see more of. We've already got a question from Michael Matterjack. Hi, Mikey. This week, we've got Lorin coming in hot with some backpacking tips. It's also the launch of a new online internet program. I don't know what the right word is. Super exciting stuff. I'll let her talk about it. Lorin is our director of Fire and Flow. She's also just an all-around badass adventurer, outdoor sports person. So yeah, we're super fortunate to have someone this experience come in, teaching us all this stuff on backpacking. I'll quit yammering. Without further ado, Lorin.
Hey,
Hi. Thanks for being here.
I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me on my first Breathe Pulse.
Yeah. I'm super excited. Let me know if you need anything. I'll be on that side of the screen, just off of it.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you again, Davis, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Lorin, and I'm filming here live from my house in Gypsum, Colorado. That Gypsum is near, well, you can look it up on a map. It's pretty close to Vail and Glenwood Springs on I-70. But just want to show you back here. I have a whiteboard of what we're going to be doing today. As David said, this is the how-to series with Breathe Backcountry. Today we're going to be talking about the backpack essentials and backpacking 101. I see we already have some questions in the comments. I want to encourage everyone to ask lots and lots of questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer them as I go along. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask any questions you have in regards to gear, where did I get what I'm using, what are other options. So yeah, just call it in the chat. Let's see. And to start us off, I want to know what you have done recently or in the past. It can be any time. What have you done outside that has inspired you, and why does it inspire you? So let's see, maybe I can think of one recently. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of river trips in Gibson, Colorado on the Colorado River and the Eagle River. And Mother Nature is just so inspiring. And these river trips, on the river trips, I've seen cinnamon black bears, I've seen bald eagles, and I've been able to take a lot of people down the river who maybe never had before. And when we see those animals together, or mountain goats, even big trout, you know that the world is a lot bigger than where you came from at home. Just seeing all these animals just is inspiring to me. Let's see, Mike said learning how to use a compass and topographic map. Super inspiring, yeah, because if you don't know how to use that, then you are going to struggle outside. So in the how-to series, learning how to use a compass and a topo map is something that we want to teach in another series. I'd be happy to dive deep into that at that time. But let's see, anyone else? Davis, what about you? You want to share one?
Shit, I'm glad you asked. A couple weekends ago, I went with a small group and we rigged this Highline in the Gunsight Notch, which is in West Virginia. And there's not really a lot of like exposed high lines in these parts. And so it was like super dope to be able to get on a high line that was like actually exposed, and it was like properly scary, like super exposed on both ends, and you're just like walking to this like little knife edge. And I would say that I was reinvigorated with highlining. It was a nice feeling to get back into open air.
Awesome.
Heart.
Thanks for sharing. Okay, well, we are going to dive right in after I answer Mike's question. He asked, how do I not lose my favorite sun hat when backpacking? So Mike came out here to Gypsum on a backpacking trip and backpacked high into the Holy Cross Wilderness with Dakota. They were gone for 2 nights and 3 days, I believe, and he misplaced his favorite near and dear sun hat. And my advice to that would be to, one, attach everything to the inside of your backpack if you're not wearing it. Your sun hat, for example, stuff it in the top of your pack or somewhere where you're able to access it easy when you want to wear it again. Number 2 advice would be to sweep the area every single time you leave, whether that's stopping for a water break and taking your pack off. You might have taken your hat off and set it down at that time. Every time you sweep, every time you leave camp, sweep the area. And even once you're done with your trip and loading all of your gear back up into your car, just sweep that area one more time, because things do unfortunately get left behind. But that's what I would recommend. Sweet. Well, we're going to dive right in. So I'm going to share the backpacking essentials and what to bring on a backpacking trip. A little bit of a buffer here. Everything I have on this table is what I bring on a backpacking trip. Everything is flexible, but all of the notes that I have on that board are essentials and things you must have for success on a backpacking trip. So I'm going to adjust my screen and we're going to walk right on through it. Okay. Sweet. So backpacking essentials, I'm going to start over here on my table of assortments with navigation. So navigation is extremely important, and it's very, very necessary to know how to use your compass and topographic map. The compass and topo map help you get to where you're going and can keep you from getting lost if you decide to wander off trail. This is a GPS device. It is extremely helpful in case of an emergency. And every time you go out into the backcountry on a river trip, I highly, highly recommend having one of these. This has an emergency SOS piece that you can push only in an emergency to reach help if you need it. Those are the essentials for navigation. Next, we're going to move on to sun protection. Sun protection is super important in the backcountry because if your skin gets burnt and the nights get cold, you could run the risk of getting hypothermic. But in the Sun Essentials kit, I have my incredible Breathe Buff, also doubles as a mask for protection in the COVID days. I also have my sunglasses. This is my sunscreen stick for my nose, and then I also have chapstick that has zinc in it to protect my lips. The last thing in sun protection is my sun hat. Very similar to the one that Mic misplaced. Also, one of my favorite pieces of gear. All right, next on the essentials list is first aid kit. So this is my first aid kit right here. It's a huge first aid kit, and I have a giant first aid kit because I'm an instructor. So I have a lot of extra equipment in here for longer backpacking trips. I check it before every single backpacking trip that I go out on, just to make sure that I have all of the equipment necessary. You know, maybe I used all of my mole foam or moleskin for blisters on my foot last time I was out in the woods, and you definitely want to have that when you go out onto a backpacking trip. Or, you know, maybe I used Band-Aids and just forgot about it. So you always want to make sure you check your first aid kit before you go back into the wilderness. They make a lot of really great first aid kits that are a lot smaller than this. You can get a personal first aid kit, or you can get a first aid kit that has enough equipment in it for maybe 2 people or up to 4 people even. If you get a first aid kit for just one person, I would definitely check with the people you're going to go on your backpacking trip. Check to make sure that they have their own first aid kit so that everyone can be responsible for themselves. But it's good to bring extra. Do we have any questions so far? Let's check those comments. RIP Mike Sunhat. So far, we've gone over the navigation essentials, sun protection, first aid kit, and next I'm going to go to shelter. So I'll take down my tower here. Amazing things. And share with you my shelter. So this is the shelter that I used on my backpacking trips. It's a half dome 2+ tent. It's a pretty big tent. It fits myself, my partner, and the 2 huskies, Junie and Kobu. So there's a lot of room in this tent. There's a lot of pieces in it. That you always want to make sure you have all your pieces before you go. It has a rain fly. The tent body. It also has tent poles, very important, and tent stakes. I highly, highly recommend that you always check your stake bag before you go, because sometimes it's one of those pieces of equipment that just ends up missing, and you don't want to go on a backpacking trip without these bad boys. So make sure you have your stakes with your tent. A secret tip that I want to share with y'all is to bring a tarp. This tarp will add a layer of insulation between you and the ground when you're getting ready to camp. But what I do with it is I set up my tent, and then I take this tarp, I open it up, and I put it directly inside of the tent. And then once my tarp is laid out, I put my sleeping pad, sleeping bag, and sleeping bag liner all ready to go. This tarp on the inside of my tent is going to act as an extra, well, 1, as I said, insulation piece, but 2, it's also going to waterproof everything inside of my tent, which is pretty dope. Sometimes you get those emergency rains or snows here in Colorado that it could end your trip, right? You don't want to get your bag soaked or your tent soaking wet. Let's see. I'm getting a couple comments. I'm going to check what's going on. on Instagram asked, for your GPS, do you need to pay for a subscription? So that is a wonderful question. Thank you for asking. This GPS, we do pay for a subscription. And this is one of the GPS devices that can text. So you're basically paying for a phone. But it's a pretty neat feature with this. So you can be like, hey, I've made it to the summit. Hey, I'm here. We use it for checking in good, positive ways, right? But you can also use it in case of an emergency. You can push the SOS button, which takes some time. So if you use Garmin and hit the SOS button, it notifies Garmin, who notifies your emergency contact, and then they also notify the EMS. So it's kind of a process. It works very well, right? But if you have that text message feature, you can text your contacts and let them know there's an emergency, and they might be able to also reach out to EMS. They do provide other GPS devices where you don't have to get the subscription. I hope that answered your question. Let's see. Sean Hankins asked, hey, Lorin, can we expect a part 2 and 3 with basic navigation skills and preparing first aid kits? Also, hi. Hey, Sean. Great question. Thank you so much for asking. And yes, you can definitely expect a part 2 and 3. We will have basic navigation skills. I'd be happy to do a preparing first aid kits and a number of things. And if you guys are listening to this and there's something you want to see from Breathe Backcountry, just post it in the comments and we'll be sure to make that happen. I'm here to share all of my knowledge and experience with you from the field of the outdoor industry. It's near and dear to my heart, and I've got a ton of skills and I'm ready to share. So thanks, Sean. And Mike said, tarps on the inside. I've lied to my whole life, right? So when I found out to put tarps on the inside of my tent, my mind was blown. I've been on a week-long backpacking trip in Denali National Park where it was pouring down rain the whole time. And with the tarp on the inside of my tent, I was able to keep everything dry, all of my gear 100% dry the entire time, which is pretty sweet. You can buy tarps on the outside that go with specific tents to put on the outside of the tent. That you can do that, but if you do, I think it's more for protecting the integrity of the tent. But they range from like $50 to $150, so it's also a big budget piece. But that blue tarp you can get at a hardware store for $10 to $20. Pretty sweet. Awesome. Thanks for the questions, everyone. And that was everything for shelter. Next on our list of essentials for backpacking is going to be the headlamp. So this is my headlamp. It's a black diamond headlamp. Works really nicely because I just replaced the batteries. Before every single trip I go on, whether it's car camping, whether it's backpacking, whether it's a night hike, I replace the batteries before every long expedition trip that I'm going to be going on. That assures me that I'm going to have great light for nighttime on my trip. I also always bring an extra set of batteries. So make sure you've got some extra batteries. Right now they're loose, but I take packing tape and tape all 3 of those batteries together so they stay in one nice, neat area so that when and if I need them, they're really easy to find. All right, next on the essentials list is water. So water is super important. I like to say, and I was taught that hydration equals happiness. And it's really hard to drink a lot of water, but if you remember that hydration equals happiness, then you'll be happy the whole time on your trip. Another neat thing about water is that it's best to have at least 2 liters of water per day. And this is a 2-liter water bottle right here. I also have a 1-liter water bottle. I like to take 3 liters of water, and I use Nalgene's over a Camelback bladder because it's my preference, and I like to stick both of the waters on the outside of my bag so that it balances out the weight in my pack. Additionally, if you use a water filtration system like this one, this is the Sawyer water filtration. This is the filter. You put the non-treated water in here, put the filter on top, and you can squeeze this water directly into your water bottle, which is pretty cool. It's really easy. The only thing about filters is that if you use really dirty, murky water, it can clog the filter really fast, and you won't know if your water is not being purified or not. But I don't have any with me right now. My preference of water is to use something called Aquamira. It's a chlorine-based water treatment chemical system that you drop little droplets into your Nalgene's. And so by having 2, you can always be drinking water and then always be treating the next one so that you are never out of water. There are also a ton of other ways to treat water out there, but I would love to do another post on that about water filtration systems and how to pick the best one for you. Awesome. Next, we're going to move on to, I forgot to show you this. I have a life straw. I actually have never used a life straw, but I was gifted it, and I always take it just in case of emergencies. Has anyone watching used a life straw before? Let me know. Okay, we're gonna move on to kitchen essentials. So, I'll tilt this down a little bit more so you guys can see what's going on here with my kitchen essentials. All right, so first I will start with my fuel. This is a tiny little fuel guide. They make them in all different kinds of sizes, but I like this one because it fits right into my stove system here. This stove system is, I go with the MSR, it's called the Wind Burner, which I absolutely love. It acts as my pot, and everything to set it up fits right on the inside of it. Along with the fuel, my lighter, so I never lose it. Boom. That's my Wind Burner. Again, there are tons and tons of stove systems out there that you can choose. This is just my preference. Maybe another good Breathe Pulse. So this right here, this is my pan that I like to take. I love to have eggs, so it's perfect for cooking up eggs in the backcountry. This is an extra buff here. I actually use it as a towel to clean my dishes with. Let's see. All right, and moving on with kitchen, I always have an extra lighter. It's just good to have one. Can never be. I'm not an ultralight backpacker, so I like to bring a little bit of extra stuff. This is my bowl and plate and cutting board all in one. It packs down really nice and neat. Check that out. Yeah, it's really nice to find something that packs down really easily. Again, there are a ton of options out there for all of this gear we're going through, but this is my preference. I like to use a fork, spoon and a fork. And then I have my cutting knife for veggies. This is an MSR knife. It comes with a really nice protection cover so that I don't have to worry about cutting my gear. This is my spatula. It's really lightweight. I didn't have to go out and buy it. It came with my crock pot. It's a rice spoon, but it does the job. And the can opener seems to be a piece that is almost always forgotten. It's the little things. Oh, let's see, what else in the kitchen do I have here? Well, the most important part of the kitchen is food, right? What's it all for if you don't have anything to cook? So I didn't grab all of my food for an entire trip, but I grabbed some of my most favorite snacks. I have the Honey Stinger Honey Waffles here. These are awesome, super tasty. You can bring a jar of peanut butter, a couple Honey Stingers, put peanut butter on the Honey Stinger, and slap another Honey Stinger on top to make a peanut butter sandwich. Super yummy. I also really like these protein bars. I use the Noon hydration tablets. This one's immunity. It's really good to be able to take as best care of your body as possible, especially because you might be eating more dried foods than you would be in the front country. It's great to take maybe some vitamins to keep you nice and healthy. I never go backpacking without my hot sauce. This is a habanero hot sauce by Yellowbird. It's super yummy, nice and tiny, perfect for traveling. This is a little Nalgene container with hemp seeds. I am an avid coffee drinker, so this is espresso coffee packets. Tea is also great. And then this is my absolute favorite dessert. So I never go backpacking without it. This one is a dark chocolate cheesecake mix by Backpackers Pantry. Super yummy. Has anyone ever had Backpackers Pantry before? Or another kind of dried food that they love or that they hate? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the backpacking food. Let's see. Davis, do you have a backpacking food favorite?
I've tried those before. My big issue is just cost. Like, it gets so expensive if you're trying to eat those for days on end.
Yes.
But I've been on a few camping trips with Dakota and the fellas, and Ron Doremus would always bring some swanky ass breakfast scramble in a bag, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't watering at the mouth when he was eating that at the side of a High Line.
All right. Is it dried food or just made with all natural ingredients?
No, he would like buy the like Backpackers Pantry or whatever, like breakfast scrambles.
Okay.
And like Dakota and I would be eating like Quaker oats out of a bag, and Ron Doremus had some fancy scramble, and I was always jealous.
That sounds good.
Yummy.
Awesome. Thanks, Davis. We had a question pop up that I just missed from Anthony. Can we all take a second to admire that absolute unit of a table? Look at that. Dang. Oh, thanks. All right. Let's see. There are definitely other cheaper options out there for dry backpacking food that you don't have to get at one of the big outdoor stores. I can't remember the name of it, but there's dried pastas. You can get Alfredo, mac and cheese in a green packet for $2 at the grocery stores. Tuna packets are also one of my favorites. You know, just eat right out of the tuna packet. Lots of trail snacks. Super good. There are definitely ways of doing it affordable. You don't have to get the expensive stuff out there. Because all the stuff, it definitely can add up, right? If you're new to backpacking, you're wanting to get into it, just tell me, and I can tell you a couple of extra secrets on how to go the cheaper route. But we'll keep going with what I have here on this unit of a table. So I think we finished kitchen. Next, I'm going to talk about personals and bathroom essentials. So this is my personals bag right here. I like to take a little tiny carabiner with ponytail holders on it. I lose them. This way you keep track of them. I have a tiny toothbrush, toothpaste, tweezers, nail clippers, floss, eye drops, Q-tips. I also have peppermint oil. That's one of my favorite things to bring on a backpacking trip. You know, especially, I mean, new or not, you're going to be sore on a backpacking trip. Your hips are going to be hurting, your shoulders are going to be hurting, your body will be aching. And that's just part of the journey. But peppermint oil, you can put a couple of dabs onto you wherever you're hurting, and it feels really, really, really good. So that's why I bring that. I also bring earplugs. They're really, really great to have if you're having trouble sleeping, whether your partner is snoring or you think you're hearing a bear. Just throw these in and you'll be sound asleep. That's my personal bag. Next, we're going to talk about the bathroom essentials. So talking about bathroom stuff is always super fun. I have modified my bathroom kit. I call it a WAG bag. I've modified it over a period of time, but this is what I bring now. So I always have hand sanitizer. I bring wet wipes because you want to stay clean, really clean when you're backpacking, or repackage them. And then I have a taped plastic bag that I'll put all the dirty stuff in. I don't like to bury it. I just pack it out. So packing it in, packing it out is a leave no trace principle that I would love to talk for hours about, just about all of the ethics. But over the next course of the week, on the Breathe social media, we're going to be releasing a leave no trace principle a day and talking a little bit more in depth about how to follow those ethics and be ethical in the outdoors. Additionally to my WAG bag, I have a trowel. This is a shovel to dig your hole, not to play putt-putt with. Never, never, never. Don't touch the poo with the shovel. Yes, that's what I meant by putt-putt. So if you don't like wet wipes, you can also bring along a whole roll of toilet paper. You probably don't need an entire roll of toilet paper, so just bringing what you need is really important. I've also heard of something called the Backcountry bidet, which is super cool. I have not invested in it yet, but if you've ever seen, there are water bottles that go into the running vest that are really malleable. I wish I had a photo of one, but basically it's really malleable. So you just fill it with water and it's a backcountry bidet. Pretty cool. I haven't done that yet though. It looks like I have something from Anthony. What about bears though? Wouldn't it be better to hear them, or is it just too late at that point? So, yeah, definitely great question. So, if you are camping in bear country, you don't want to bring your wet wipes, you don't want to bring your berry chapstick. You will want to have a bear canister, and you're going to put all of your food, your smelly goods, what else? Chapstick, sunscreen, all of your food equipment into that bear canister. Once you have everything that smells like food or human in that bear canister, you're going to take it at least 200 feet away from your campsite. That by having your food at least 200 feet away from where your tent is, ideally the bear isn't going to come digging through your tent. So that's really important to remember if you're camping in bear country. Also, don't bring deodorant. Honestly, at that point, maybe don't even bring the peppermint oil, because if you put that on before you go to bed, they're going to smell you. So if you're going in bear country, don't bring anything that smells like that. Really important to have in bear country is bear spray. When you're hiking with it, do not put it in your backpack, because it'll be useless if a bear is coming for you. And you're camping at night, it's definitely a good thing to have in your tent and to know exactly where it is in case you do need it. In regards to sleeping with earplugs and not hearing the bear, hopefully your partner is not sleeping with earplugs on, and then they can hear the bear. But if you do hear a bear coming up to your tent, and I've never had a bear come close to shaking my tent personally, but if a bear is near you or you see a bear, you want to get as big as you can and yell, hey bear, I'm right here, so that when they see you or they realize you're there, they just know you're there, they know that you're human, they'll know that you're non-threatening, and they should go away. Most of the time, black bears are just as scared of us as we are of them. If you are backpacking in grizzly country, we'll save that for another pulse. How are we doing on questions? How long can you camp for what is on that table? By JJ Spirit. Hello, Janet. So that's a great question. Everything I have here, all of my equipment. So food, I only grabbed a couple of snacks. I don't have my breakfast right here. I don't have my lunch, and I don't have my dinner. So with food, I could only last maybe a day with my dessert and a couple of snacks, realistically. So food planning for a backcountry trip is, we're adding on so many great pulses. That is definitely going to have to be another pulse, because I could talk for another hour about food planning, calorie counting, and how to plan for that. But in regards to my clothing, I have picked out over here water filtration system and everything else. I could be in the backcountry for up to a week, not including this food. I would need a lot more food. I get really hungry. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions I'm missing? Oh yeah. So do you poop in a bag, or do you poop on the ground and pick it up with the bag? That's a great question, Sean. So I actually have one right here. This is a poop bag. It's a Go Anywhere toilet kit. It's got a couple bags, deodorizer, hand sanitizer, toilet paper, and a couple other things in there. It's 2 bags. So if I'm going on a river trip, you are definitely going to want to bring a lot of these, because you don't want to be digging a hole. So this trowel for backpacking, you're going to dig a hole, ideally this big as an Nalgene, deep and wide. You're going to poop into the hole that's the size of an algae, and you're going to use the trowel and cover the hole back up with the dirt you just dug out. If you're pooping in a bag, I like to open up the bag, do the duty in the bag, and then you can just close it up, tie it up, and then put it in the greater trash bag, and you're done with it. If you're desert camping too, not only on a river trip, the river trips are usually in the desert, but if you're backpacking in the desert, you definitely want to go this method. Definitely. Thanks for asking. Let's see. From Anthony, I just imagined pressurizing your camelback and then using that as a mouth hose. Here's the camelback. This camelback, this is the camelback. For anyone who hasn't seen one, this is what they look like. This is a 2-liter one. Another option for a water bladder. Awesome. I think we're all caught up on questions. Great questions, everyone. I'm really loving it. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? Next on the list of backpacking essentials, we are going to talk about layers. So all of my layers are over on this side of the table. I have the top layers and I have the bottom layers. So ideally for the summertime, you're gonna have a sun hoodie to protect your skin so you don't have to lather in sunscreen. That's my preference. I also really like having the hood for the sun hoodies in case you might misplace your hat. At least you have a second option, a backup right there. So I have my sun hoodie, and then I also have a synthetic shirt here. I have a merino wool shirt, t-shirt, and then I also have my favorite staple, my Melanzana sweatshirt. I definitely like to pack warm layers, even though it's hot here where I live right now. It's maybe 70 degrees, but when you get up into the mountains, even in the desert at night, the temperature can change. So tagging along, bringing the Melanzana just to make sure that you're nice and cozy is really important. I also have a beanie, extra gear, and then this is my synthetic jacket. So there's a couple different options for jackets and sleeping bags. You can do synthetic or down. I choose a synthetic jacket because it can get rained on, drizzled on, and it will dry a lot faster than a down jacket would. This synthetic jacket that I have still packs down to a pretty decent size. Down jackets will pack down even smaller than this one. When you are picking out your layers, t-shirts and pants, underwear, you never want to hike in cotton. Once cotton gets wet, it does not dry. So this sun hoodie I have on is a synthetic polyester material, and if it gets wet, if I'm sweating, it wicks away the sweat and it dries a lot faster than cotton would. Those are going to be my top layers that I'm going to bring with me on a backpacking trip. Next, I'll talk about my bottom layers. So I have a pair of darn tough socks. They're really comfortable hiking socks, and they have a warranty that if you wear them through, all you have to do is send both pairs of socks back and they'll give you a brand new pair of socks. Always have my darn tough socks with me, and then I also have a pair of bright socks. These are lower socks. I like to change into these when I'm at camp with my camp shoes right there. The right socks also come in taller socks that you can get, and they have a liner. So some socks have liners to help you prevent from getting blisters on the back of your foot. I like to bring all those socks. I have a couple of stuff bags. You can go out and buy them, or you can even use a grocery bag if you want to. I have in here my synthetic underwear and socks so that I know where they're at. Let's see. So I also have in my bottoms pile a pair of synthetic shorts. These are the Patagonia baggies. I love them. I have a pair of lightweight long underwear, usually to sleep in, so I can take off my hiking pants. Here are my hiking pants. I really like blue a lot, if you can tell. And then I also have a pair of rain pants. These are a must-have. You never know what the weather's going to be like. You can check as much as you want, but sometimes torrential downpours come out of nowhere. Last but not least, for my top, this is my rain jacket. Lightweight rain jacket. It packs down really nicely. Those are all of my layers. Oh, this one thing. I also always backpack with gaiters. So these go on over your pants and your shoes, and then underneath your rain pants. And those are going to help waterproof your feet so that your feet don't get wet while you're backpacking. All right, I already touched on my camp shoes. I love these shoes. They're like slippers, but they have a durable bottom so that I can walk around camping and take off my hiking boots at night. These are my hiking boots. I love them. They are high top. They protect my ankles, and they're waterproof, which I love. Got another pair of socks in there. I like to bring extra socks so that I can hike in socks during the day, and then I can change into a new pair of socks at night, have a new pair of socks the next day, sleep in the same pair, and then I can rotate. That's for maybe a 2, 3, or maybe 4-day backpacking trip. Awesome. Next on the list is sleeping system. So, in this bag here, I have my down sleeping bag. It fits into this is a stuff sack here for the down sleeping bag. It gets nice and small. There's another option called a compression sack. This is my synthetic sleeping bag. I don't take it on backpacking trips because even in the compression sack, it is too big for my backpack. But with the compression sack, make it a little smaller. So if you had a compression sack on this sleeping bag, it could become even smaller. Next, for my sleeping system, I have my sleeping pad. There's a ton of different pads out there, but I use the Cosmo insulated Nemo pad. It has a foot pump, so all you have to do is step and it inflates. Awesome. When you are backpacking, one thing I like to do is line the inside of this bag with a trash bag so that it waterproofs your sleeping bag. Especially because I have a down bag, I do not want to get it wet or I won't be sleeping because it takes forever to dry and I'd be really cold while I sleep, and that would not be fun. So line your sleeping bag with a trash bag to keep it waterproof. Next on the list, forgot my sleeping bag liner. This is one of my favorite things. It's like a sheet for my sleeping bag. So if it's really, really hot, you can just sleep in this, and if it's really, really cold, you can layer up and it'll keep you nice and warm. Last on the list, I have miscellaneous stuff. So that's going to be my deck of cards, my pencil, my journals, and the world's smallest kendama. If you've never played with one, it's a great thing to bring along to your backpacking trip. Additionally, I like to bring patch kits. So this is a field repair kit. My sleeping pad also comes with a patch kit to make sure that I have air when I'm sleeping. I like to always bring trekking poles with me, not for the uphill, but for the downhill. It'll protect your knees. Even if you just bring one, it's a really great thing to have. That's an optional piece. All right. Another optional piece I have over in that corner, that's my fly fishing rod. And I always like to have the fly fishing rod just to relax if you're hiking to the mountain lake. Pretty cool feature to have. Awesome. I think that's everything for essentials. How are we doing on questions and time? Let's see, Sean Hankins. So what happens if I just need to get out there but can't afford all the essentials? Do gear rental programs exist? That is a great question. So yes, gear rental programs exist, but currently with COVID, a lot of them are on hold. I actually just spoke with the REI in Dillon, Colorado, and they have canceled their rental program altogether. Other stores that are smaller might still have those things going on, so you could definitely check with your local retailers to see if you can rent gear. But other equipment, you can always call me. I'd be happy to let you borrow any of my gear at any time. Also, other friends, if you can always ask people, hey, do you have this equipment? I want to learn how to do it or play around. People always have gear lying around that they're not using and they're always willing to share it. That's how I started. I did not have any gear at all and I just borrowed it all until I was able to afford it. In regards to those layers, you can always go to a thrift store to get something synthetic. It doesn't have to be name brand. As long as it's not cotton, it's going to do the job. Yeah, I hope that helped. Thanks, Sean. Awesome. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left on the pulse. Is that correct, Davis?
Yuppers.
Okay, perfect. Just checking in. So I am going to talk a little bit about the backpacking ABCs. So I have about 5 minutes. I could try and stuff everything into my pack, but I have a backpack already packed for you so you can see what it's going to look like. I will pack this bag and make a video and we can post it onto the Facebook before the end of this campaign is over. Ooh, and I want to talk about the Breathe Backcountry campaign. So really quickly, the ABCs are you want to pack your bag with accessibility in mind. So in the bottom of your backpack, you want to have the things that you're not going to be needing throughout the day. That's most of your camp equipment, right? And then in the middle of your pack, you want to have the heavier items so that it sits right in the middle of your back, right here. That's because your back can hold the weight right there. If you have it all the way down at the bottom of your pack, it's going to sit weird on your hips and it's going to be really, really uncomfortable. So with the lighter camp material at the bottom, the heavier in the middle, at the top, you can have things like your first aid kit, your headlamp, your map and compass, your GPS, your sunscreen, your hat, your sunglasses, trail snacks, all of the essentials that you're going to need throughout the day. And also don't forget to leave out your rain jacket in case the weather changes quickly. The B in the ABCs is balance. So like I talked about earlier, I have both my water bottles on both sides of my backpack. That's to keep it balanced. You're going to want to keep the heavier things closer to your back and lighter things away from you. C is going to be compressed. Kovu is right here. And compressed means, so you have all of, your clothes, and all the loose stuff, right? Those things like your clothes, your shoes, maybe your personals, you can slide those into the void of your backpack. So I'm gonna move this a little bit into the void. So you want to fill up your backpack with all of the void. Fill the void. That's compressed, and then streamlined is you want to have everything nice and tight on the outside of your backpack so that it looks really nice. Hopefully you guys can see this backpack. You can see how it's nice and streamlined. There's no holes in it. It looks really nice, and there's nothing on the outside. So you really want to try and have all of the stuff inside of your backpack, no danglies. The weight is balanced, and things are accessible that you need. So that's the ABCs of backpacking. And I think there's a minute left until I get kicked off. Yeah. So I guess I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out today to listen to the Breathe Backcountry how-to series. This was Backpacking Essentials, and I hope you learned a little bit about getting outside and getting after it.
Tell us about the campaign real quick.
Okay, so there is a Breathe Backcountry campaign that we are holding on the Breathe Facebook page. We are holding a contest. I want to see, and we want to see what you're doing in Mother Nature, whether that's backpacking, pushing your comfort zone, trying fly fishing, trying a new sport. That could be hammocking in the park or setting up a line. It can be anything. Share it with us, tag us, and you can be entered for a chance to win a Breathe tank, tea, or water bottle.
When does that go till?
It goes until
September 13th.
September 13th. That's when we're drawing the winners.
Yeah, some awesome prizes there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Lorin. This was amazing.
Thanks for having me.
I think my biggest takeaway is you don't want the heaviest stuff at the bottom of your pack. You want it towards like your lower back, middle. I never knew that, and I've been putting the heaviest stuff at the bottom all this time because I thought that was the way to do it.
Oh, that's awesome. If you learned something today, I would love to know what it is. If you can post it in the comments, I'll check in and say what's up there later on. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you, Lorin Hart.
And on another Pulse with Breathe Backcountry.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.